Hey guys, DJ here from the FutureTechTVFam. We have some really big announcements for you guys today. Like one, we got our lighting in. So no more inconsistent lighting on any of our future videos. I promise it drove me as crazy as it drove you. Outside from the announcements, this video is actually our official Logitech G502 Lightspeed Wireless mouse review. So for this product review and future product review, so you know what to expect, what we're going to do is we're going to cover all the details you need to consider when making a new purchase, so that way you can make the most informed buying decision possible. We'll also talk about all the technologies that manufacturers are including in their mice now in 2020, and why this decision was a little bit harder than you might have expected it to be. So we do have a lot to talk about today, but I will try to keep the video as short as possible for you guys. Roll the intro. Okay, so a lot of you guys might be wondering in 2020, if you're trying to upgrade to the G502, exactly how does it stack up? Because many of you will already know, the G502 had a wired version that was released back in 2014. The original wired Logitech G502 was called the Proteus Core, and you can get a still wired variant of the G502 today, but it does have some significant upgrades like the Hero sensor itself. The original Proteus Core only went to 12,000 DPI, but with the Hero sensor upgrade, even the wired variant of the Logitech G502 today can go up to 16,000 DPI. Now, up until recently, wireless mice still had too high of a latency to actually be used in applications where you needed a high response time like gaming. But there's been a lot of recent developments as far as transmission speeds, and now the 1 millisecond response time that you can get from some of the wireless devices that are available in 2020 are actually what the manufacturers are saying are faster than their wired counterparts. It's impressive. There's also been significant advancements on the front of batteries. Used to be until a couple years ago you had to have 1 to 2 AA batteries to run a wireless mouse. Now the batteries are integrated, they're lightweight, so you can have a wireless mouse that doesn't weigh a ton like they used to. Talking specifically about the mouse we're reviewing today, the G502 Lightspeed. It has a 48-hour battery life if you're using the 2-zone RGB. If you're not using the lighting built into the mouse, you can get up to 60 hours battery life off of a single charge. And the charging speed is actually relatively impressive too. Off of a single 5-minute charge, you can get up to 2.5 hours worth of gameplay. And while there were some high-profile professional gamers out there like Ninja who used the G502 wireless religiously for years until he got sponsored by Final Mouse, Logitech was well aware that the main complaint about the G502 Proteus Core and the wired variant was that they're extremely heavy. So surprisingly, they went ahead and redesigned the entire interior of the G502 Lightspeed, and it's actually lighter than its wired counterpart. Now, they couldn't accomplish it to be quite as light as the G Pro Wireless, which comes in at a mere 80 grams. With 0 weights in the G502 Lightspeed, it comes in at 114. And inside the box, it does come with 16 grams of additional weight that you can add to the bottom of the mouse to make it more stable for you. Logitech made it incredibly easy to change out the weights if you so choose. Right on the bottom, the whole bottom panel snaps right off, and you can slide your weights right in there. While we're looking at the bottom of the mouse, Logitech also put a compartment in the bottom that you can put your receiver in while you're not actively using it. The last thing of note on the bottom of the mouse is the glide pads. If you use a hard mouse pad and they start to wear down over time, you can go ahead and order some replacements and slide them right in and it'll be good as new. Now, as I said earlier, the G502 Proteus Core was released in 2014. That's 5 years before they released the G Pro Wireless. In May of 2019, they re-released the G502 Lightspeed with the same shell, case, feeling, and button layout as the 502 Proteus Core, but they borrowed a lot of technology from the improvements from the G Pro Wireless they released just a year before. But before we talk about that, I want to take a moment for our sponsor. But instead of doing a sponsorship video, today I wanted to take the time to thank and introduce you guys to some of the FutureTechTVFam's extended family. A very close friend of mine that I've known for a long time. His screen name is your boy, Claude Monet, and he streams on Mixer at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time, and you can also find him getting me killed on my stream Tuesdays and Thursdays, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time at twitch.tv/FutureTechTVFam. Okay, so where we left off was, what upgrades did the G502 also receive from the G Pro Wireless that released the year before? The G502 Lightspeed sensor got a significant upgrade, going from a 12,000 DPI on the original to a 16,000 dpi Hero sensor, the same sensor that they feature in the G Pro Wireless. A great feature they included on both mice was mechanical button tensioning. So there's actually a mechanism inside the mouse that makes the buttons swing back faster once you have your first initial press. Now the intention behind this is to make your mouse clicks feel more deliberate and tactile. You can't feel any resistance pushing back once you click the mouse button down, but I will admit it does make repeated mouse clicks much smoother. Now it does have a feature that's included on many of Logitech's other model of mice, and that's the hyper-fast scroll wheel. You see, you can go individual clicks. It's very responsive. It has an audible click every time that you actually move the mouse button, so if you're changing weapons or if you have anything bound to that particular mouse button in games, it's very, very responsive, and you can feel each individual click as you're scrolling through the wheel. And to demonstrate the functionality of the hyper-fast scroll wheel, you can go individual clicks or unlock it, and now you can scroll up and down an entire Amazon page while you're shopping in one single swipe. And that ends our section on the basic features and functions of the G502 Lightspeed. The next part we're going to cover is what many people consider to be the most important, and that's the actual feel and size of the mouse in your hands. Now, as far as the physical specifications of the G502 Lightspeed goes, the height is 5.2 inches or 132 millimeters, width 2.95 inches or 75 millimeters, and the depth, so how thick it actually is, 1.7 inches or 40 millimeters in total. So as you can see here, the G502 does have a very modern angular shape. It does have this little fin over here that keeps your thumb from coming in contact with your mouse pad as you're dragging your mouse around. At first this was a concern for me because I was using the Logitech M510, which as you can see I could feel my thumb dragging across the mouse pad as I was doing anything. Now with the 502, you don't have that drag, and it does have a mouse slider right there, so it makes it very, very smooth glide whenever you're trying to move it around the mouse pad. Now I wanted to make sure we covered that little detail as far as the G502 Lightspeed review goes, because when I saw the shape of this thing and noticed that big fin sticking out, I thought it was going to be dreadfully uncomfortable, and I have to tell you, after an extended period of time of editing, playing video games, and just general internet browsing, I actually prefer it now. I don't know what I would do if I didn't have it. It is, however, a completely different story if you have smaller hands. I asked my wife Leah to come in and let me capture some footage of her using the mouse, just so if you do happen to be a female or have smaller hands, you can see what to expect with your hands on this mouse. Now I do want to point out while Leah's holding the mouse that you can see there is a big difference between her being able to reach the sharpshooter button and my hands being able to reach the sharpshooter button. It does also seem that while Leah's using the mouse, moving it around the mouse pad just through general use, that her thumb keeps moving further back on the thumb fin support, and she did mention that felt incredibly uncomfortable when she was trying to use it. So make sure you take your hand size into consideration before you buy the G502 Lightspeed. So if the G502 Lightspeed seems like it's the right size for your hands, how does it stack up against the competition? Not just Logitech, but the other brands, because there are some impressive technologies that other brands are pushing in 2020 as far as wireless mice goes. The Razer Viper Ultimate is becoming more and more popular in esports today, and it's because of the optical mouse switch. They changed out your typical mechanical switches for an optical switch with a 0.2 millisecond response time, so it makes it faster whenever you use your right or left mouse click buttons. The Steelseries Rival 650 uses a dual sensor technology, so that way it gives you more accuracy whenever you have to pick your mouse up and down when you're moving around during a game. It doesn't give you as much movement on your vertical axis. So ultimately, when I was picking between these three mice, taking all things into consideration, we don't just use this mouse for first-person shooter gaming. I also play some MOBAs, I play some real-time strategies, and we use it for our general web browsing as well as part of our family. So with web browsing and coding and all the other things that our family does combined, I felt that the hyper-fast scroll wheel feature on the Logitech G502 Wireless was more important than the 0.2 millisecond response time from the optical switches in the Razer Viper Ultimate. The comparison did start getting a little more difficult when I was comparing the Logitech G502 Lightspeed to the SteelSeries Rival 650. They both have a very similar shape, style, size, weight, but the SteelSeries Rival 650 has 8 RGB zones that uses some really cool technology to allow them to sync up to external apps like Discord. So if you're getting a Discord notification, you can actually assign your RGB lights to flash to make sure you're aware that you're getting a notification. I think that's pretty cool. And while the Steelseries Rival 650 is a little bit less expensive than the Logitech G502 Lightspeed, I ultimately settled on the Logitech because it does just seem to fit more comfortably in my hands. That's a very subjective thing, and it's incredibly hard to figure out when you're trying to do all of your research online. So I'm trying to be as detailed as I can and relaying all this information to you and all the different factors that played into us making our decision for what we wanted to use here. And while we're talking about that, to be fair, I know there is some great content creators and some amazing tech review channels here on YouTube. I know because I frequent them all the time. When I'm doing my personal research, those are a lot of the people that I go to get my information from as well. And while I don't want to throw my hat in the arena of trying to compete with all these other channels, I want you guys to try to think of FutureTech as a compiler of all this information. This way you don't have to go watch 10 to 12 different videos to try to get to all the details you need. You don't have to visit 10 to 12 different web pages. You can come to one place, get it all broken down for you in a nice, easy to digest format. 2020 is starting to look like it's going to be an amazing year for consumer technology. So if there's anything you guys want us to specifically look into for you, please mention it to us in the comments below. One of the videos we already have in the works is a Logitech G Pro headset review, so stay tuned for that. That should be out sometime next week. Until then, we look forward to seeing you on social media. We're on Twitch, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, and Snapchat, all as FutureTechTVFam. And as always, if you guys have enjoyed spending your time here with us, as I have enjoyed spending my time here with you, please like, subscribe, and click the notification bell so that way you get notified when our next video becomes available.